Did you know that World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, officially ended on September 2, 1945? But what most people don't realize is that in the last week of August and early September, thousands were still dying, secret missions were underway, and some countries didn't even realize the war had ended. Today, we'll uncover 10 little-known facts from the final days of history's deadliest conflict. Fact number 10. Surrender, but not quite. We all know World War II ended in 1945, but did you know that in the very last week of the war, thousands were still dying? On August 30, 1945, British forces landed in Singapore. But the Japanese there didn't officially surrender until September 12. Even after Japan's surrender on August 15, fighting continued in China and Indonesia because not all soldiers had received the news, or maybe they refused to accept it. Fact number 9. Prisoners of war. Did you know that even as the war was ending, many soldiers remained imprisoned by their enemies? As of August 1945, there were approximately 5 million Allied prisoners of war in Japanese hands, along with an unknown number of civilians. By the end of the war, only a fraction had been freed. In China, hundreds of thousands of Chinese soldiers held by Japan's Kwantung Army refused to surrender until September 1945. Similarly, the Japanese had no intention of releasing the large number of Chinese and British POs in their custody. Even in Southeast Asia, some Japanese commanders held out against the official surrender, keeping POs captive. It wasn't until well into October that most POW camps were disbanded and former prisoners released. Sadly, many of them were left physically and mentally scarred from their experiences. Fact number 8. Divisions within. Do you know that even though Japan surrendered, there were still divisions within its government? On August 14, 1945, Japan's top military leaders met to discuss the imminent Allied invasion of the Japanese mainland and the terrible loss of life it would cause. Some, like General Anami, wanted to keep fighting, while others, like Foreign Minister Shigenori Togo, believed surrender was inevitable. This division reflected a larger struggle in Japanese society. For decades, Japanese culture emphasized obedience to authority and self-sacrifice for the greater good, traits that led to both remarkable achievements and terrible atrocities. But in the face of defeat, these values were being challenged. Many Japanese citizens struggled with accepting the emperor's decision to surrender, believing it went against the nation's traditions. They felt betrayed by their leaders and outraged at the thought of Japan becoming a Western democracy. Fact number 7. The last official German troops. While the war in the Pacific raged on, Europe was slowly getting back to normal. On September 4, 1945, the last official German troops surrendered in Norway. This followed the collapse of Nazi Germany on May 8, 1945, also known as Victory in Europe Day. However, isolated incidents of resistance and collaboration continued, particularly in northern Norway under Vidkun Quisling, a controversial figure who led a Norwegian fascist party. His resistance eventually crumbled, marking the true end of Nazi Germany's presence in Norway. Fact number 6. The fall of Berlin. During the Battle of Berlin, German Chancellor Adolf Hitler committed suicide on April 30, 1945. But his deputy, Joseph Goebbels, kept the city's remaining defenders in the dark until May 2, hoping to boost morale. By the time the truth was out, most of Berlin's government officials had fled west. But as the Red Army closed in, Goebbels and his family took their own lives on May 1, 1945, leaving behind a diary detailing their descent into madness and despair. Fact number 5. Race to Berlin. When Soviet troops entered Berlin in April 1945, they encountered fierce resistance from the Germans. But as the city fell into chaos and destruction, rumors spread that Hitler was hiding somewhere in the ruins. So the Soviets embarked on a frantic hunt to find him. They searched everywhere from underground bunkers to sewer systems, but Hitler was nowhere to be found. Finally, they discovered the truth about his suicide, and were forced to confront the reality that they would never capture him alive. Fact number 4. The liberation of a concentration camp. The news of Hitler's suicide brought joy to millions of people held in concentration camps. On April 1945, American forces liberated the infamous Ohrdruf camp in Germany. Finding only a few hundred emaciated prisoners, what they witnessed shocked them, fueling their determination to fight on. This liberation marked a turning point in the war, as the Allies began to dismantle the Nazi regime and bring its leaders to justice. Fact number 3. The final mission. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan. 3 days later, another bomb devastated Nagasaki. These unprecedented weapons of mass destruction claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and forced Japan's surrender. But the story doesn't end there. What many people don't realize is that in the final days of the war, the US had plans for even more atomic attacks. Targets included cities like Tokyo and Kyoto. But Japan's surrender stopped these missions in their tracks. Fact number 2. Fat Man's Other. Few people know that the second atomic bomb used against Japan in World War II was almost not deployed. Its development was overseen by J. Robert Oppenheimer, codename Fat Man. But when he heard about the first bomb being dropped on Hiroshima, Oppenheimer questioned the need for a second attack. He argued that one bomb was enough to force Japan's surrender and any additional attacks would be unnecessary. But military leaders disagreed, believing a second bomb was necessary to ensure Japan's unconditional surrender. Ultimately, they decided to drop the second bomb on Nagasaki, leading to Japan's surrender and ending World War II. Fact number 1. A world transformed. When World War II finally ended, it left an indelible mark on the world. The conflict had been so devastating that it reshaped the global landscape in profound ways. But what many people don't realize is that in the final days of the war, these changes were still up for grabs. Leaders around the world were scrambling to secure their interests and protect their citizens, and it was unclear what the future would hold. From the ashes of World War II, a new world order emerged, one that would define the next half-century. World War II was a global conflict that lasted for 6 years and involved the vast majority of the world's nations. It resulted in an estimated 70 to 85 million deaths, making it the deadliest conflict in human history. But as we have seen, even in the final days of the war, there were still many unknowns. And it wasn't until those final moments that the world as we know it today was truly born. Every once in a while, we come across a hidden tragedy or a forgotten story that reminds us that history is never as simple as one date. For example, did you know that the sinking of the Titan, the ship that inspired the Titanic, was actually forgotten by most people until 1985, when a documentary brought it back into the public consciousness? Or that the dambusters, the heroic pilots, who took part in the raid on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, were almost not celebrated at all, until a journalist named Peter Wade wrote a book about their forgotten mission. If you enjoyed learning these little-known facts, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon because we bring you more untold stories from history every week. And what topic should we explore next? Let us know in the comments.